What's up, guys? It's Earl here. I'm the rookie woodworker, and today I want to go over some tools that I bought as a rookie that I wish I never bought. I made some rookie mistakes buying these tools, didn't do my research, and ended up with some stuff that just didn't apply to me or straight up ended up being trash. So yeah, let's get to it. All right, so the first tool on my list is this right here, which is a Shopfox 6-inch desktop, tabletop jointer. Right out of the box, this thing was great. It worked awesome. Straight out of the box, everything was aligned perfectly. I got perfect straight jointed edges every time I used it. And eventually, my jointed edges started to get a little bit of a curve in them. And it became a little bit of a problem. So I checked to see that the tables both agreed with each other, and they did not. One table was level, the other one was about 2/10 out, which is a good bit. So then it became time to figure out how to adjust this table so that it's level the whole way across. And what I found out was you had to flip this thing over, and on the bottom there was a cover here, but I ended up just leaving it off. And then you got to unbolt the table from the bottom, then pull the whole table off, and then flip it over, and then the adjustment bolts for the table was there on the bottom of the table. So that made it an extreme pain to try to adjust the table. You'd have to put it all back together and then check your level again. And then if it was out, you got to tear it all back apart and then readjust again, and then put it all back together to check again. It ended up taking me hours to do that because he was going through that process 7, 8, 9 times before you finally got both the tables to agree with each other. So what I did was I upgraded to a Rikon, which has adjustments on the tables right on top. So you don't have to take anything apart. The adjustment bolts are right on top, right in front of you. Made life way easier when I needed to adjust the tables on that one. But this one here, I mean, it was great, did its job. If you get the tables right, it's going to be good for quite a while until it starts going out of alignment again. But once it's out of alignment, it is a pain to get back in. So yeah, I recommend getting one that has the adjustment bolts in the table itself so that you don't have to tear stuff apart. All right, so now we'll move on to my 9-inch skill bandsaw. This here is a prime example of a purchase that I made without doing any research whatsoever. I thought, just because you have a wood shop, you need to have a bandsaw. So I just got the cheapest one on the market. It's less than 200 bucks. Get it, put it in the shop, and get to work. Well, what I found out was it's true. A wood shop needs a bandsaw. It's a good thing to have, but this ain't it. What I found out is it's very underpowered for anything I wanted to do with it. If you're building doll houses or train model sets and stuff like that, this is going to be the bandsaw for you. It cuts out small pieces really well, and it cuts through like pines and poplar and whitewood and stuff really easy. But once you get to hardwood and stuff like that, it lacks the power. If you're resawing boards for cutting boards, in an attempt to not lose that whole 1/8 of an inch that you lose on a table saw, you're not going to do yourself any favors getting a 9-inch bandsaw. As far as I can tell, the whole 9-inch class, it's kind of the same story. They don't have a lot of capacity, and they don't have a lot of power to cut through wood at a faster pace. And the 10-inch class, you'll step up in the power a little bit, but as far as I can tell there, it's more of the same, just maybe a little bit better. What I did was I upgraded to a 14-inch Wen. It's not the best 14-inch bandsaw there is, but it's pretty darn good. It's got a lot of power. It's got 8.5 inch of cut depth, which I totally appreciate that. And it goes through wood pretty good. But yeah, I would stay away from the 9 and 10-inch class if you can. Just save a little bit of money. The 14-inch class, you can buy them new anywhere from $700 to $1,700. You look around the Facebook Marketplace or look through some auction places, you can find them as low as $300, $400, $500. But don't waste your money on a 9-inch if you plan on using it for anything heavy. All right, so let's talk about my 12-inch central machinery planer. This one here, it's an 11.8 amp machine, and whenever I used it, if I used it anywhere near its full capacity, the whole 12 inches of wide, I had to take off really thin strips or else it would trip the 15 amp breaker. And then you have to go all the way in the house, all the way to the basement to trip it. So it was kind of a whole thing. So I really didn't have a good relationship with this machine to begin with. But I was happy to get it because it really increased my capabilities in my shop. Having a planer is a must-have in a shop if you've ever used one. But about the time that I needed to change the blades for this machine, the gearing that drives the rollers that pulls the piece through, it got slop in it and the gears stopped meshing together to turn the rollers. I tore it apart, and what I found out was that there's a bushing in there that holds a shaft to one of the gears that broke, and now it's not allowing the gears to mesh correctly. I could probably find some parts to fix it, but instead I shoved it in a corner and I upgraded to the DeWalt 735. Now the DeWalt 735 is a 15 amp machine and it has an inch more capacity, and I can't get that thing through the breaker unless I throw everything it has at it. Like, I need to use the whole 13 inches and take off like 1/8 of an inch of wood before it thinks about throwing a breaker. This one here, you like whisper 12 inches at it and you're going downstairs to turn the lights back on. This here was definitely not a good experience for me. Maybe this one's a lemon. I can't speak for the whole brand itself, but yeah, I didn't have fun with this one. All right, so next I want to talk about my auction air compressor. One thing I've learned is that you can find tools really cheap at auctions or yard sales, or even at pawn shops. So I started beating up auctions and I found this 8-gallon air compressor in an auction. I did not go the day before to check out the items, so I bid on it online and I ended up winning it for like 30 couple bucks. I was pretty excited about it. Went out there, picked it up and brought it home. And I fired the thing up. Well, ran some electric through it anyway. And it built up to about 40 PSI. And I thought, man, this is great. I got a good air compressor. This is going to be cool. And then all of a sudden I heard a pop and then air leaking out. Oh, great. So I thought, okay, if it's a fitting, no big deal. We can put on some thread tape, fix that up. It'll be as good as new. It still runs. That's what's important. So I'm feeling around for the air leak up here. It's not up here. It's coming from the bottom. And I thought it was this valve, and I thought, no big deal. Still, we can deal with that. But it turned out that it punched a little pinhole right beside that valve. Now what happened here is this thing's been sitting in this guy's barn. It built up some condensation inside of it, so it's been sitting in there wet in the bottom of it for who knows how long, and it's been rusting out the bottom of it. And whenever I put air pressure into it, it punched out a pinhole in the weakest spot, which is like second to worst case scenario. I mean, this works, this runs, so that's good, but pretty much need a new tank. Could I fix that hole? Probably put some weld in there to get it to seal up, but put air in it again, 45 PSI the next time. It'll probably blow another hole out somewhere else. So I don't know. If you got any recommendations for what to do about this, throw it in the comments below. Otherwise, I might end up putting it on the marketplace and let somebody else deal with it. But yeah, the lesson here is to make sure it is good whenever you buy it. The auction that I bought this at, usually the day before the auction goes off, they have a day where you can go there and plug stuff in and make sure it works and stuff like that. I didn't do that, and I definitely should have, because all I had to do was plug this thing in, let it sit for a couple minutes to build up air pressure, and I would have known not to buy this thing. But I did. You live and you learn, right? All right, so the next thing I want to talk about is my measuring devices. And the reason I want to talk about that is because a lot of these are impulse buys. Like, I've never used a couple of these things because I'd watch some talented fellow using one of these things on some tile, and it looks like it made his job way easier and made it turn out really well. But I bought it and then never ran into a situation where I needed to use it. So yeah, it's like an impulse buy that was pretty much a waste of money. You don't really think about it when it's like $7, but it's still wasteful. The things here that I use the most, we'll go with the speed square and the tape measure. I use these the most, followed by the rollers. Use the rollers a good bit. This square here is pretty good. And this here is pretty handy too for measuring depth of stuff, you know. And then I use this a good bit to make sure my tables on my jointer agree with each other. But things that I've never used is I've never used one of these. I got two of them. I've never used them. I've never used this. I mean, that's another one of those things where you see a video of a talented guy using this stuff and it works out well for him, and you think, I'm going to run into needing that eventually, and you just never do. I've used this a good bit for drawing circles, but these three, I've never used them yet. I have a feeling whenever I get my lathe, those things are going to come into play a lot more often. Rarely. I've used these a few times, but very rarely. Again, I think that's going to be something I'll use whenever I get my lathe. But like these angle finders, this is good for like walls, but it's not good for like small things. Like you're trying to find an angle of a little box because it don't fit in there. This here's a digital version of that. I mean, it works. It works. It's effective, but I never use it. I've used this, but I don't think I'll ever use it again. It's pretty chintzy, pretty inefficient way of finding angle and keeping the angle so you can transfer it to another piece. Of course, my levels, you use them. This multimeter, I don't use that in woodworking at all. I don't know why I have it out here. I use it in the house sometimes. So it's a good thing to have around. This is my meter for wood moisture. It's not the best meter in the world. It gets you a good reading for the outside, but if the outside moisture and the inside moisture of a piece of wood is different, it's not going to be good. Yeah. But yeah, half of this stuff's like impulse buys that I could literally do away with. So my recommendation when it comes to measuring tools is whenever you get a project that needs that specific tool, get that specific tool for that project, and then you'll likely need it again in the future. But if you don't need it, like right now, and you're seeing a video that shows its application and you never actually run into that application, don't buy it. Just wait till the need arises and then buy it then. But for me, I gotta learn this stuff the hard way sometimes. So yeah. But yeah, impulse buys. That's my fifth thing that I regret buying. But yeah, those are my 5 rookie mistakes when buying tools that I kind of wish I didn't buy. As you know, just starting out and starting to build a wood shop, a couple $100 mistake can really set you back because funds are not something that's very plentiful when you're starting out in this. So that can really set you back for some time. whenever you make mistakes like the ones that I made. So hopefully this video is full of some good advice for you that'll help you out whenever you go deciding on what to buy for your shop. If you like that video, hit the like button, and if you want to see more videos like this, hit the subscribe button. Let me know if you have any questions in the comments below, and if you want to see more videos like this but maybe a different topic, shoot them in the comments below, and maybe we'll explore some of that later on. But for now, till next time, make something awesome.